What if I told you you don't have to buy a house to build wealth? Not now, not later, maybe not ever. Because for decades, people have been told buying a home is the smartest financial decision you can make. But what if that advice is incomplete? Or worse, what if it's keeping people financially stuck? In this video, we're going to break down the truth about homeownership, when buying a house actually makes sense, and when it might be the worst financial move you can make. Because the goal isn't to own a house, the goal is to build freedom.
Welcome to Keith's Money Mindset, where we don't just talk about money, we challenge how you think about it. Because most people don't have a money problem, they have a mindset problem. They were taught to earn, spend, and hope something's left. But hope isn't a strategy, and survival isn't freedom. So here, we do things differently. We break the habits and beliefs that keep people stuck and replace them with systems that build wealth. So whether you're just getting started or trying to level up, you're in the right place. Because the goal here is simple: build assets, break cycles, create freedom. Let's get into it. Most people grow up hearing the same message: go to school, get a job, buy a house. Because owning a home is seen as a sign of stability, success, adulthood. Let's look at an example. Someone buys a house at 30, feels like they made it. But what's rarely discussed is the cost of that decision over time. Buying a house is often treated as a default step, not a strategic decision. People assume it's always the right move, regardless of their financial situation, career flexibility, or long-term goals. But not every financial decision should be universal. What works for one person may not work for another. And when you start to question default advice, you begin to see that home ownership is not a requirement for success. It's just one option among many. And here's where things get interesting. Most people don't actually decide to buy a house. They inherit the idea. It's passed down from parents, reinforced by society, and repeated so often that it feels like a fact. But when you really step back and ask, why do I want to buy a house? The answer is rarely strategic. It's emotional. It's cultural. It's expected. And that's a dangerous place to make a financial decision from. Because the biggest financial decisions in your life shouldn't be based on what feels normal. They should be based on what works. And when you start looking at home ownership through that lens, you begin to realize something powerful. Just because something is common doesn't mean it's optimal. And for many people, buying a house isn't a wealth strategy. It's just a social milestone disguised as a financial goal. When people think about buying a house, they think about the monthly payment. But that's only part of the cost. Let's break it down. Mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs. For example, $300,000 house. Mortgage, $1,800. Taxes, $400. Maintenance, $300. Total, $2,500 plus. And that doesn't include unexpected costs. Over time, these hidden costs can significantly impact your ability to invest and build wealth. A home doesn't just require a monthly payment, it demands ongoing financial attention. Roof repairs, plumbing issues, upgrades, and property taxes can all increase over time. And when a large portion of your income is tied to maintaining your home, it reduces your ability to invest in assets that generate income or appreciate more efficiently. That's why understanding the full cost, not just the purchase price, is critical. And here's the part most people never calculate. Not just what the house costs, but what it costs them in lost opportunity. Because every dollar going toward maintenance, repairs, and rising property taxes is a dollar that isn't being invested. And over time, that trade-off becomes significant. Let's say you're putting an extra $500 to $800 a month into your home beyond your mortgage. That might not seem like much in the moment, but over 10, 15, 20 years, that's tens of thousands of dollars that could have been working for you instead of being spent. And the reality is, a house doesn't compound the same way an investment portfolio does. It doesn't scale. It doesn't generate cash flow unless you turn it into an asset. So while you're maintaining your home, you might be missing out on building something that actually grows. And that's the hidden cost most people never see. A common belief is that a house is an investment. But that depends. Let's look at an example. House value grows 3 to 4% annually.
Stock market averages higher over time, and unlike stocks, a house costs money to maintain. The key difference is that an investment typically generates income or grows efficiently without constant input. A primary residence, on the other hand, often requires continuous spending to maintain its value. While real estate can appreciate, it doesn't always outperform other investment options when you factor in costs. This doesn't mean buying a home is wrong, but it does mean it shouldn't automatically be considered the best financial move. It depends on your strategy. And this is where we have to separate two ideas that are often confused: ownership and investment. Just because you own something doesn't mean it's making you wealthier. A primary residence can appreciate, yes, but appreciation alone doesn't equal wealth creation. Because wealth isn't just about value, it's about function. Does it produce income? Does it grow efficiently? Does it give you leverage? Most primary homes don't do those things. They sit. They require input. They consume capital. Meanwhile, true investments are designed to work. They generate returns. They compound over time. And they don't require constant financial upkeep just to maintain their value. So the real question becomes, are you buying something that works for you or something you have to keep working for? One of the biggest advantages people overlook is flexibility. When you rent, you can move, change cities, adjust your lifestyle. Flexibility has financial value. Being able to move for better opportunities, lower costs, or lifestyle changes can significantly impact your long-term financial trajectory. Homeownership, while stable, can also create friction. Selling a home takes time, money, and effort. And in some cases, people stay in situations that no longer serve them simply because they're financially tied to their property. That's a cost that isn't always visible, but it's very real. And flexibility isn't just about movement, it's about opportunity. Because life changes, careers change, markets change. And when your financial structure is rigid, your ability to adapt becomes limited. Think about how many people stay in jobs they don't like because they have a mortgage to pay, or pass on opportunities because moving would be too complicated. That's the invisible cost of being tied down, not just financially, but strategically. Because sometimes the biggest opportunities in life require the ability to move quickly, to pivot, to adjust. And when you're locked into a long-term financial obligation, that flexibility disappears. And over time, that can cost far more than money. It can cost growth. Let's talk about opportunity cost. Let's start with an example. $50,000 down payment invested instead. Over time, that money could grow significantly. Opportunity cost is one of the most overlooked concepts in personal finance. Every dollar you commit to one decision is a dollar that can't be used elsewhere. A large down payment tied up in a home could have been invested in assets that generate income or compound over time. The key question becomes, where does your money have the greatest potential to grow? Because wealth isn't just about owning, it's about optimizing how your money works. Let's take this one step further, because this is where the conversation really shifts. Imagine two people. Person A buys a house with a $50,000 down payment. Person B invests that same $50,000. Now fast forward 20 years. Person A has built equity, but they've also spent thousands on maintenance, taxes, and interest. Person B? Their money has been compounding, growing, multiplying. And here's the key difference. Compounding doesn't just grow your money, it accelerates over time. So while Person A is slowly building equity, Person B reaches a point where their investments start generating more growth annually than they contribute. That's the power of opportunity cost. It's not about what you spend, it's about what you give up by spending it. And once you understand that, every financial decision starts to look different. Now let's be clear, buying a house isn't bad. When it makes sense, long-term stability, affordable purchase, strong financial position. The decision to buy should be based on alignment, not pressure. If your income is stable, your expenses are manageable, and you plan to stay in one place long-term, buying a home can make sense. It can provide stability and predictability. But the key is ensuring that the decision supports your broader financial goals, not limits them. Because a home should enhance your financial life, not restrict it. And this is where balance becomes important, because the goal isn't to avoid buying a house at all costs. It's to make sure that when you do, it aligns with your overall strategy, not your emotions, not external pressure, but your long-term plan. Because a house should fit into your financial system, not become your financial system. And when people get this wrong, they end up building their entire financial life around one asset, instead of building a portfolio of assets that create flexibility, growth, and income. So the real question isn't just, can I afford this house? It's, will this decision move me closer to financial freedom or further away from it? The real question isn't, should you buy a house? It's, what's the best strategy for your situation? Financial success isn't built by following tradition. It's built by making intentional decisions. For some people, home ownership will be part of that journey. For others, it won't. And that's okay. The goal isn't to follow a checklist. It's to build a life that gives you options, flexibility, and freedom. And once you understand that, you stop chasing what everyone else is doing and start focusing on what actually works for you. And this is where everything comes together. Because this conversation isn't really about houses. It's about how you think. Do you follow what's common or do you follow what's effective? Do you chase milestones or do you build systems? Because financial freedom isn't built by checking boxes. It's built by understanding how money works and using it intentionally. For some people, a house will be part of that journey. For others, it won't. But the people who win financially are the ones who understand the difference between looking successful and being financially free. And once you see that difference clearly, you stop asking, should I buy a house? And start asking, what's the smartest move for my future? If this video changed how you think about buying a house, then it's not just about where you live, it's about how you build. Because income alone won't build wealth. If it did, high earners wouldn't still feel broke. Wealth is built through ownership, through strategy, through understanding how money actually moves. And most people were never taught that. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start building with intention, subscribe to Keith's Money Mindset, where we don't chase money, we build systems that create it. Because at the end of the day, you're not just trying to make a living, you're trying to build a life. This is Keith's Money Mindset, where we build assets, break cycles, and create freedom. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.